Welcome, welcome. Welcome, 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 welcome. What did I break? Ah, It's like 3.7 maybe. Can you tell me what versions are available? Probably not. Hello, welcome to the stream. I forgot I started the stream, so I gotta talk. 0.19 came out. My brain is cooked. I'm just trying to port back a version. How did I get the right version? That's kind of weird. Just so that I can like get some like references for like what our FPS is and stuff before we port, because apparently porting to 0.19 is supposed to be like a massive speed up to so 0.19 is supposed to be a massive speed up when you have like hundreds to thousands of entities in the world rendering stuff. So that sounds like exactly the use case for my voxel game. So my conclusion, YouTube's just been a bit funny at the moment though, is that like we should take a benchmark before and after I port over, and then I'm going to update my shader to my new idea, which is basically at the moment we're rendering every chunk as a cube of however many by however many by however many cubes are in the voxel block, and then we I think we're doing some kind of discarding and stuff based on like whether it's a full voxel or not, but like effectively what's happening is that most of the voxels are being inside of like, you know, like so how do I explain this? So we have a vertex for every like layer. So if there's 32 voxels, we have 33 vertices, like one on the bottom, and then, you know, for every unit block, and then like one at the top. So there's 33. And then we might actually be 34. I'm not entirely sure how that works. And then we render a triangle like on the front out of those 4 voxels, and on the top out of those out of the like voxels, and on the back out of those voxels. But I think we do this like every single layer has its own set of 4. So like each layer has 4, each plane like in the z-axis, in the x-axis, in the y-axis, all of their own planes. Let's open up Blender. Actually, Blender's a much better way of explaining this. Is Blender work? Yes, apparently it's going to work. It's just an icon. So what we have is, so delete the camera and the light. So this is our cell. So we're going to go delete only faces. So at the moment, like this is our chunk, and our chunk is 32 by 32. So what we end up doing is actually going like put a face here, put a like a face here, and then we grab each of these and we go like right click, subdivide. Subdivide. Actually, let's make it like 4 by 4, I guess. So that would be 1, 2. Yeah. So subdivide. So subdivide twice on all of these. Subdivide. We're only going to draw up the z-axis because, you know, it's easier. So at the moment, did that not work? Did I not select 2 cells and say subdivide? Right. So at the moment, the way it works is to render a 4 by 4 voxel. We do this, and so we have all these vertices, and this is just for the Z. So each of these vertices exists. These lines don't. I don't think it's got these edges. But the idea is it renders like this. So at the moment we have one triangle that spirals or 2 triangles that spiral clockwise. So we go Control T. Right. So this is what my engine's rendering, and so we have one set of 2 triangles that spirals clockwise and one set that spirals counterclockwise. So if you look at it from the bottom, you can see it as well as from the top. And what I was thinking is that you don't actually have to do that, because what we could do is instead take the position of the camera, because we know where the camera is in terms of like that's part of what's inside the shader. And we can say only have one set that all spiral clockwise by default. And if they're above the camera and they're the Z one or the Y one, So if the Y plane and it's above the camera's Y height, then spiral it counterclockwise, because it's not possible for the camera at this position to see the top of this. So we don't actually need to have two sets of each triangle. I don't remember if they duplicate the vertexes, but they definitely duplicate the triangles to achieve what I'm doing at the moment. And so the idea would be that would halve the number of triangles we would need to cull, because even though it's doing backface culling, which I believe is probably much faster than not backface culling, I think that doing a small vertex shader that inverts the order of the vertices. So instead of, the way it works now is like, looking at the top, it'd be like 1, 2, 3, 4. Instead, we're going to reorder it, which I guess would just be these two flipping, so that it goes 4, 3. Okay, there's 1, 2, 3, 4. Well, actually, 1, 2, 3, 4. So when it goes clockwise, it's winding 1, 2, 3 clockwise, right? But then if we flip this one and this one, then it would be going 1, 2, 3, which is counterclockwise, which would mean that it's actually this face it's rendering, which I think will halve the number of triangles that it needs to color and therefore should improve the FPS. But that's after we port it. That's just what I was rambling about while I worked on porting this. Something is yelling at me about something that I've broken. Panicked, could not swap chain texture. What have I broken? I don't think I've broken anything. I think it was working and then it doesn't. So we need to somehow take some kind of metric. I don't remember, because one, it takes ages. Did I run this in release mode? What was the command I ran? You threw lots of warnings. So total chunk generation time. Let's close that. Make sure it's run in release mode. Yes. All right, so it's run in release mode. So, because it's always the same seed, it's always going to generate the same thing. Actually, for for comparison's sake, we need to make sure we don't do anything until it's finished generating the chunks. Because one of the things that I've noticed is you get like a much higher FPS looking at the sky than looking at the ground because of Bevy's culling, and that does result in probably going to impact performance if we change the FPS drastically. So we go to our benchmarks. We're going to say 0.18. So total. So we're going to say the total chunks generated is 112 seconds. So it took just under 2 minutes to generate every chunk, and the average chunk took 7.6 milliseconds because we generated 14,796 chunks. Then without moving, we're going to look out this way because this is the easiest way to look. We're going to go to debug and we're going to uncap the FPS and we're going to show the FPS. All right, so this is giving us, when we exit this, 70 FPS apparently. 75 FPS. So this is looking at green. We should probably actually do this with the inspector. Hopefully the inspector's not killing a lot of our frame rate. It shouldn't be, because I think servers at the moment. So literally just updating this is probably going to boost our frame rate by a lot. Anyway, so we're going to go player. We're going to go transform, and we're going to make the players rotation 0, negative 3.1415. And then you're also going to be negative 3.1415. Right, so we have flipped the player 180 degrees. So looking at, that gives us 85 FPS. So looking at negative 3.141 equals 85 FPS. Right, so an average of 85 FPS. And then we're going to look at 0, 0, 0. And that's going to give us an average of 98 FPS. Looking at 0 equals 95 FPS. Right. We could look at these, but I mean, wow. That's 180 FPS. Looking this way, why does this give us such a low FPS? Strange. Right, what is half of pi? 3.1415. So if we look at 3.1415 divided by 2 gives us, so we want to be looking at 1.57, and that gives us 60 FPS apparently. Right, so looking at 1.57 equals 60 AFPS. Right, so this is just good little sampling of everything that's going on. Do we have more information on the debug thing? So uncap the FPS, which is good. You have the debug console. That just lets us change what's being rendered now. Show gen chunk times. Average random chunk. Yeah, okay. I don't care. So I don't think there's any way to see how many chunks except like, the number that it tells us down there. That's fine. That should be fine because we're not going to change any of those numbers after. I'm just curious about these numbers. So we're going to port to 0.919 and we're going to find out what happens. So the annoying thing is that just updating this is probably going to give us a huge update because it stops rendering all those observers, and the fact that from what I remember, EGUI is very slow compared to Bevy, which means that most of the performance updates is probably just going to be that it's no longer rendering all the observer shit unless you turn that on. But anyway, run release. This is not going to work. Cargo update. Wait, why is it yellow? Oh, because it can't find a version that has this feature. Okay. Right, so this is going to throw a lot of errors because a lot of shit's changed between 18 and 19, and then we just slowly work our way through, porting what we can. So I guess we start with the UI. So UI doesn't like this because we have a builder button with properties. Okay. So this is our menu builder. So we no longer have this, which is this. All right, so this is all feathers changed shit, which is annoying. Anyway. So action. Oh, this is the one that I spent ages getting this to fucking work. Okay, so button with properties. Button. Okay, so you just say something like, it's not button plugin, it's just feathers button. And then you would become commands. It's not spawn, it's spawn scene. I guess we should just comment this out. We're going to go self.spawn, self.commands.spawn scene, which is then going to be BSN, something like that. It's going to be at feathers button. I don't remember what your properties are. So you have something like theme button properties. So caption, label for the button, color. Okay, so we need these. So at variant button variant and corners, which is going to be corner radius, which again you become at corners. And then I believe you are just going to be variant and corners. Oh, tap that in, tap that in. Right, so that should spawn the button. So you then call button with properties, which is not how that works. You would then call button with properties. So the variant would be button variant normal, and corner radius is like none. I assume something like that. So then that gets passed to you. So what else did we do? We said, so you need to be a child of self.root. Okay. Then like that, and then it's just root, because then it's just copy. Despawn on exit self.currently open. Self dot. I think this is just exit. I think that should work. Hey, welcome to the stream. No, it doesn't like that. Okay. So can we just say self.exit, and then this would be despawn on exit. Exit. Okay, that works. Okay. That's weird that it needs the full type name, but anyway. So we need to say on action, and ooh. That's my thing. Yeah, okay. So apparently this needs to send sync. So are you also clone maybe? Oh, into observer system plus send plus sync plus clone. A, where A is clone. I'm not sure if that works. Anyway, we go back to button. This seems to like it, but I don't know if I can actually pass stuff in properly. And then, so this just says button prop spawn labeled themed text. So that would be at, I don't remember how you work. Go back to here, we go caption, okay. So the caption is just to spawn the same thing again, I believe. So go back to here, we'll just say like at caption is just BSN. I think something like that. Except, yeah. Label. Okay. So we have to actually give it the string, because if it's not actually the string, then it just yells at us. Right, so that should be doing exactly the same thing, because it just spawns text and then themed text. So the checkbox is going to annoyingly be the same bullshit again, where it's going to be probably feathers checkbox. So then we go down here again, and we're going to go here, we're going to go, hey, okay, so you do the close, except the close needs to be completely fucking refactored like this, and like root, we call self.root, and I'm not entirely sure if bundle even is allowed. Anyway, we might be able to insert the bundle separately, not entirely sure. Then we're going to go self.commands.spawn scene this is return self, that's fine. So you need to be at feathers checkbox. Gonna do nothing for now. Sorry, you need to be a BSN. So BSN. I'm sorry that I'm sick again. Like, I'm just fucking always sick, apparently. That's part of why I haven't been streaming for the last week, is I've been sick, and it's just like I couldn't get out of bed. But it does mean I sound like shit, which is annoying to me. But anyway, child of root, exit on menu, child of, and then yeah, we're on click is on. I is not clone. Weird. Okay. These all need the same fucking restriction where I is clone. Right. So you have this bundle, then we're gonna also pass in, I guess, bundle. I don't know if that works. No. Alright. I guess you can spawn that, and then we can just say insert bundle. It's a little bit annoying, a little bit inefficient, but like also I can't be fucked. So we have the label, which is going to be here, which is going to be like, we're going to have to open you up and go your properties, and your properties is just the caption. You just have the caption. That's interesting. Okay. So you're going to have like add caption BSN. You need to be let label equals text. So obviously my credits have rolled over because it's a new month, and I'm kind of enjoying the fucking tab complete. Anyway, right. So then we go to here and we go, why are you complaining? Okay. I don't even know what you're fucking doing. So this one, I believe the main thing that you changed is that you now return an result. I don't remember what the result type is, but parameter validation error. Okay. And then we just return OK. Hello, welcome to the Discord. If you want to be my blind and stream. That's loud. Hello. Can you not have that? Oh, they're gone. Never mind. I was going to ask them not to have that background noise. Anyway, so validate param doesn't exist anymore. Surely it's going to yell at me saying that something else is missing, but maybe not. Maybe this is what used to return. Right, so I think they've condensed them into get parameter because it's like you had to validate and then you had to get. But now, okay, that's cool. Okay, so we have a feathers slider. Something like that. Right. Let's comment this all out because, you know. So what are you doing? You're doing the observer, the bundle, the root. Okay, so that means we need to say like let root equal child of self.root. Interestingly, you weren't doing the on exit. Self.current open. Okay, so we're gonna be like self.commands dot spawn scene bs and at feathers slider. No, there's no comma. Child of almost had it. Child of root. Yep, this one on exit and then on change. Then you just need to be like one of these is going to be complaining that does not implement scene. Hmm. Okay, that worked. Okay. So then we need to be like, again, dot insert bundle, something like that. Okay. So we go back to our debug, and our debug goes get parameter needs to return a result. System parameter errors apparently. That's fine. And then again, return OK state. Not sure if that matters or anything, but you know. So exit menu, oh, this is no escape menu, button properties. So we need to say something like, so you'd be button variant corners top, right? Except it's not called corners anymore. Okay, so that fixes the escape button, and then we go to main, and then you have the same thing where we just need to go get rid of that you're called variant, get rid of that you're called that, and then get rid of that, and that should fix you. Okay, widgets reflect curve. So image here is not allowed. Oh, I guess it is allowed, image. And then everything's the same. Nope, it's yelling at me because cannot borrow world as mutable more than once at a time. Okay. Why do you think I'm borrowing the world mutable more than once at a time? Do I use image again? World get. Second mutable borrow occurs here. I'm sorry, what? Can we drop image? Okay, you have to drop the image before we get to the end of scope, otherwise it tries to drop the image while we're in scope, which it doesn't like. That's fine. That's interesting. So these have been obviously moved somewhere else. A little bit annoying, but I'm fairly sure the easiest way to find them would be to come down here and just say qualify lights atmosphere, inner radius, outer radius. Everything else seems the same. I guess I'd qualify that as light atmosphere, scatter. Okay. I don't know if any of that actually matters for like anything. It's just atmosphere. Now I track down more errors. So you're yelling at me because cannot borrow material. Because this used to just return a mutable reference. It doesn't anymore. It returns a borrowed, like a checked one. So this spawns a button somewhere. Children. Okay. We'll work on that in a minute because I can't be bothered doing further shit again. So apparently directional light doesn't have a it's a shadow map. Okay, so that fixed that. Chunk ID doesn't like that I'm doing component and resource. My concern is when was I using it as a resource? Chunk is somehow calling volume on something and it doesn't like that. Okay, work on that in a minute. So debug is feather shit, which again I don't want to fuck with. Offset, right. So that's pretty easy to fix because I'm pretty sure the offset is just we'll need to track down. I mean, is it a map thing like rendering maybe? I guess we'll just put it here. Input chunk generation. We're going to have a pub struct world offset chunk ID. I'm going to derive resource, and then that's going to be world offset. This needs to be deref and deref mute so that it can effectively be treated exactly like the offset. And then every time we see res, I guess we can probably fix that pretty easily. We go Control C, and then we go anytime we see res chunk ID, we can replace it with res world offset. So that should fix all of those instances, because the only time I was using that was for that, which, because again, that's the thing about your resource being unique, is I know that every single offset would have been the right offset. Cannot find world offset in scope. Yeah. Are you importing some kind of global like prelude somewhere? Can I like? Not really. Okay. So we just have to find all these and still qualify as create map world offset. And you don't like that because chunk from trans. I think this needs to be double dereferenced because. Okay. Go to physics. Physics doesn't like something, which is probably the same thing, which is just that this needs to be qualified, and then probably double dereferenced somewhere. Oh, triple dereferenced. That's fun. Can I just do world offset.0 then? I don't know why it needed to be triple. Anyway. Probably because I got a reference to such a reference to reference. So you don't like that I have some kind of image volume, which concerns me. I really don't want to touch it because I don't know what it is. I have no memory whatsoever what it fucking does. Resource changed. Create map world offset. There we go. So you taken no arguments? Yeah. Thank you. Okay. So that's the run far chunks check chunk need generating. So center, I guess it's just pass that in .0. Oh god. World resource. Okay, so can we replace qualifying with use path? Can I just make you clone and copy? Why? How are you defined multiple times? Where are you defined multiple times? I guess we'll track down the world offset somewhere else. For some reason this didn't work, which is interesting. Do I dereference you then? That worked. Okay. So this all seems to work. We're just setting the view to 1000. World offset makes that pretty easily. Chunk ID is this from translation plus that. Why are you saying? So you're saying .0 is definitely the easier way of doing that. Okay. Something's yelling at me down here, which is to say that the chunk ID, just do .0, please. So we have to dereference .0 then, because that's how we turn that into a. Okay. Okay. We have to find the second time that we declare struct world offset and work out what the fuck we're using that for. It's only done once in the entire crate, so what the fuck do you mean world offset is defined multiple times? You cannot use it multiple times in the same namespace. What are you fucking talking about? Let's fix the player, because the player should be somewhat simpler. Can't find world offset in scope. Well, that's easy to fix. Import. Okay. What are you bitching about? Can't find res mute. All right, well, that's easy to fix. So we're going to say every instance of this is going to be replaced with an instance of, well, and this is apparently the only time in the entire crate that we implement it mutably, which is kind of funny. We're just going to qualify, I guess. World offset 0 plus equals trigger.0. Fuck knows why we're doing it that way. World offset we could have imported. You don't like that because you have to do that. Okay. Do that then? Okay, that works. Okay, so this doesn't have a from world implementation, which is easy enough, because I'm fairly sure that we just implement default. Like so. I still don't understand why it seems to think that it's defined multiple times. It's quite clearly not defined multiple times. Anyway, something about volume no longer existing inside of that. Okay. So we just go here. We're just going to go extent 3D volume. Okay. I don't know what this was doing. So data something 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 data vector 0. So we're filling it with zeros, and its image texture descriptor format pixel size, which is the number of bytes we need per pixel. Expect failed to create texture image, cannot get pixel size from texture format. Okay, and then times by the image texture descriptor size dot volume. So apparently this just doesn't have dot volume anymore. So be size dot. Well, the annoying thing is we're just going to say like let vol equal image dot texture descriptor dot size dot width times image dot texture descriptor dot size dot height depth, and then we just times that by vol as U32. So that fixes the volume issue. This is saying block get block gives us block. Let some bytes equals image get pixel mute. Well, at least it tells you why it failed now. We're just going to say okay. We can actually match on that and then print out the error, but anyway. Okay. Fucking all right. Dummy image is going to be the same. Not entirely sure why. Yeah, I'm not sure why. I think there was something funky going on that I needed to make it a certain way. Because we could also just take the volume being chunk size times chunk size times chunk size, because that is just actually the volume. But anyway, you're still yelling about being defined multiple times. The only thing left is to fix the buttons in here, which I'm not looking forward to. So we call button, and button takes in button properties. So you become children. So you become okay. Well, can we just for now not do that? What's this, regenerate chunks? Yeah, okay, let's just go with fuck off entirely. Because I don't actually care. Well, I do care. We should probably leave a big to-do. But like, unless I actually call open the console, it shouldn't do anything, so just don't try and regenerate the world. Why you define more than once? My suspicion is that I'm somehow importing it. Yeah. Don't use yourself, you absolute mole. I don't even know how I managed to do that, because that would... whatever. So we just, like, run this. This should just work now. We can extract all our debug information, and in 45 minutes we will have managed to update to 0.19, which is fun. And then we get to fuck around with the shader again. To be honest, not looking forward to that, because it's going to be a little bit wonky, because I'm an idiot. But effectively, to recap, because if you want to hear at the beginning of the stream, you won't know what I'm doing when I say shader. Currently, the shader works like this, where we render basically like each plane that a voxel can be on and then check and discard. At the moment, we are rendering both a top and a bottom face for each of these particular vertices, because we don't know if it's going to be looked at from above or below, and then we backface cull them. But my thinking is we can actually have one copy of each triangle, look at where the map is, and then flip this vertex and this vertex. I don't know if we can flip all of them, possibly, because yeah, I'm not sure if we can flip all of them. My only thinking with flipping all of them is that that may reverse the reversal, because if we just flip this one, so it becomes 1, 2, 3, 4, right? If we flip these two, then if we leave the exact same triangle, it becomes 1, 2, 3, which is actually a counterclockwise triangle and therefore the opposite face. But if we then flipped these ones, it would become 1, 2, 3. Which I guess is still counterclockwise, isn't it? Yeah, that's fine. So if we flip all of them, it's still a counterclockwise triangle. And the idea is that then we only need one set of triangles, because instead of backface culling half of all triangles, we will just reverse half of triangles, the half that would be backface culled. Is this our compilation complete? Apparently. Surely not. That compiled way quicker than I was expecting. 35 seconds. Huh. Now, this is all a bit wonky, but that's fine. That's all to do with me no longer, like, overriding certain things. But, well... Oh. Well, apparently we can't just click play. That's interesting. Why can't we click play? Right. Let's just wait for stuff to finish generating, and then... Right. So... we're going to copy, and these are our new generation settings, which I don't expect to have changed very much. If these have changed, it's because Bevy's doing less in the background. They did get somewhat faster, but again, these changes are more like Bevy's doing less on the cores, which means that there's slightly more compute to go around, because I didn't actually change any of that logic, which means that, and then Bevy doesn't actually have anything to do with any of that logic. Ew. I don't know how I fucking broke the, I've broken the lighting really badly. Anyway, we go to debug, we go uncap and show. Okay, that's fine. We need to pop this open, pop this down, go to player. We need to set the player to the correct rotation. So we should probably rearrange this and say, put you there. So first orientation, I'm going to transform, and we set this to 0, 0, 0. There we go. What the hell is the frame rate at 0, 0, 0? That's concerning, because the frame rate at 0, 0, 0, I guess we're going to click back in. No, we never clicked out. Okay, so looking at 0 equals 75 AFPS. That's concerning, because that implies that Bevy actually got worse. Okay. So the next rotation, I think this one was 1.57. Excuse me? Why am I upside down? Okay, was it not this one that I was changing? Was it? That definitely stays 0. That definitely stays 0. Hmm. No, wait, so it is this one. So it's like 1.57, which is the one I expect to be worse, which is 56 FPS. Am I only running in release mode, maybe? No, not in release mode. So what is that? It's 55 FPS. And then the best one, which was apparently 3.1415. Or negative. I don't quite know what this is. Apparently this is like flipped upside down and backwards, which I find very strange. This one gets only 75 FPS. Which is interesting, because that implies negative 3 point... I think if I just put in 3.141. So it's either got something to do with this fog, or it's that keeps flickering in and out, or it's to do with potentially this being open. I don't know. Yeah, so I don't know. The annoying thing is that the inspector makes that hard, because I can't turn the inspector off and still be able to look at those 3 different angles without writing some bespoke code to set my rotation of those 3 angles. It's very strange. If we go back to, I want to say like main, we can probably just turn the inspector off. And if we turn the inspector off, that would at least tell me if it's just that the inspector got really bad. Because it's possible that it's just the inspector got significantly slower, but then we'd have to go back to 0 to 18 and remove the inspector and add a bit of code that lets us like set a bunch of rotations. And also because these rotations are so... Well, that's interesting. And also annoying. Something's causing like an intermittent crash because it crashed that time, but it didn't crash the other time, but it crashed the time before that. I thought it was to do with closing the menu, but... Interesting. Wait, why is it doing that? Why? Okay. Well, apparently it's running out of memory, which is actually, I think, what's crashing it. Are we just, like, not running in... Okay, and we're also definitely running in release mode, which is interesting. So, first off, my question is, what the hell do you mean you're running out of memory? My assumption is because something's using up a bunch of my dedicated memory, and the GPU is actually just running out of memory. But again, the confusion with that would be, why did it work once? Okay, it's definitely running out of memory. Wait, but it worked that time. Okay, it's so fucking weird. Who goddamn knows? Right. Wait, no, but you're turned back on. What? Right. First off, it is definitely going slightly above the 16 gigs of internal memory, which actually that could be. I don't know what's causing it to use. Oh, well. I don't know what's using that bit of memory on my computer. Oh, it's probably DaVinci, if I was to guess. Yeah. Okay. So probably not the best idea. That's almost certainly why it's got slower, is that it's using just like literally the tiniest amount more video memory, and it's pushing it into a different cache level. Like it's ever so slightly, which is infuriating because if I shrink the map, then it's no longer a comparison. I'm going to try saving my temp and then closing this, because that means that I can close DaVinci, which close fucking task manager, which will hopefully free up. Okay, it freed up a little bit. Like, so now it's only using like a gigabyte instead of like 4 or 5 gigabytes. Does that mean that I suddenly get all my FPS back because we're no longer touching shared memory? No, we're still touching shared memory. What the hell is using up that tiny bit of memory? Processing, disk memory. I don't think there's a way, like, is one of these, can I turn on like a... So there's GPU engine, GPU. So OBS is using a little bit of, like, I was using a lot of the GPU, but it's not. Command line. But it's only using the encoding and decoding engine. Like, it's not actually... What the hell is using this memory? I'm very confused. I find it interesting because it's quite clearly that's killing it. Right, like it's like the second that it touches that amount of memory, it's like out of memory. Then, oh, something else touched it this time. My bet is that like it's if the EGUI touches it. Anyway, let's turn back on our show FPS. Let's uncap our FPS. And let's set our player's rotation, because it's still going to be slightly slow, which is annoying. But I'm curious if we got a bunch of our performance back because we closed DaVinci and therefore we have like much more of this on the GPU. So that does just mean out and out, like 19 must just use much more memory, or much more, like a few gigabytes more memory. Because that's all it would take. See, we get another like 5 FPS just by freeing that up, and I'm almost certain that as soon as we stop touching this, even just the slither is going to be making a huge impact on our performance, which is annoying because we're going to have to work out, one, where in the code I can shrink. What if I turn the EGUI inspector off? I don't know what I've got open that's using... It could be Blender, actually. Let's close Blender. I'm just trying to think like what applications I have open that would be touching the GPU. Blender's the only one I can think actually that would be touching the GPU. No, something's still using 2 gigabytes. Could be Obsidian, because that seems like the kind of thing that Obsidian would try and optimize. It's almost certainly OBS, and I can't close OBS, obviously. That gives another 0.1. Yeah, I don't know. How much do we have to free up? Because I'm pretty sure I've got it set so that it takes up like I was pushing it right to the line. So we need to save about 3 gigabytes to have it, like not. Which is such a pain. Annoyingly, again, it's got a whole extra gigabyte. So anyway. What the fuck is using it all? All right, so to save those 3 gigabytes, if we can just make the map, we just need to make like the map size just a tiny bit smaller. Like if I just went like to 5, which actually is, I think out of all of them, the most impact would be to drop an entire height, but also most of the height should result in very little actual voxels disappearing, because most of those shouldn't even go onto the GPU. I'm not entirely sure how that works though. I just need to get like the tiniest bit more so that it doesn't cross that threshold of needing to use the shared memory. We didn't touch the shared memory. And again, we dropped about 2,000 chunks, and we saved a massive amount of time. So I would actually rather leave that and probably drop this down to like 21. Because what I was thinking is dropping a sky is going to have the least impact, because it's going to drop, like most of them are going to be empty, and the way that the like generator works is that like if it's empty, it doesn't get sent. There has to be at least one voxel for it to be sent to the GPU. And I'm fairly sure. Yeah, see, it still touchy. So what if we dropped it by? I guess we can drop it like 10%. See, because we just want to still like be up above like 14,000. So if we drop this down to like 20 by 20, like that is the like quite a big area of map that we're chopping off. But unlike the dropping like one of the Y, instead of dropping like 1/7, we're dropping 2/20, which is significantly less. So it's like 1/10. 1/10 instead of 1/8 or something. It's not even, I think. We'll just see when it's done. So there's still 13,000 of them, and hopefully, got to stop closing Task Manager. Hopefully, damn it, we're still touching that. All right, I've got to go a little bit smaller, so let's go down to like 19 by 19. The issue is that each one of these that we drop is going to have less and less of an impact. I think actually performance-wise, dropping a Y is going to have the biggest impact on the number of chunks, but the least impact on the actual amount of memory saved. I just need to get it back onto the purely into like one thing. Alright, fine. We're going to go back up to 22. By 22, and then we're going to drop this down to 5. We'll have a little look to see what it actually did the map, because I know that this will get it under, and then we can do the performance thing, see if it actually makes that much of a difference. What that tells me is that I definitely need to be optimizing the size of the shit that I send to the GPU. Because I think at the moment I'm sending like an entire like 32 by 32-bit texture. Oh god. So we saved a massive amount of time, but we also generated like a lot less chunks. Question is, can you tell? Not really, because I don't think any of those chunks had anything in them. Which does imply that it is sending a bunch of shit to the GPU that it doesn't need to. Alright, let's turn the debugging on. Let's go like show FPS, uncap our 60 FPS, and let's go player transform 0, 0, 0. Well, that's depressing, because it's still lower. Did we accidentally push up? No. So it's just slower. What about if we do the, is it like the 185 turn or something? So, looking at 0, 0. So first off, we're going to have to do this, because this is the new changes. We go down here and we say that you're getting 80. We'll give it the best shake and say that it's actually 83. Maybe when we're in the lower version, because we're going to like revert a branch, we're going to make some changes, and then we'll come back up. We'll add like a thing that lets us automatically set the transform. Because I'm thinking if we can automatically set the transform, that's not the right rotation. 1.5. Well, that's interesting. Because we're still at 83. Negative 3. Well, no, it's just 3.141. And you're at like 93 FPS. That's interesting. All right. So what we're going to do is we're going to modify our base commit. So I guess what we're going to do is we want to go into here. And we're going to go, this was update to 0.19. Commit that. We'll push that for anyone that actually cares and it's like following the Git along. Then we're going to go into history and we're just going to revert to this one. So we're going to check out this commit. Because this should immediately revert us back to 0.810. So the only thing we need to do here is go to like world gen. Maybe. Did we commit this with the updated fucking thing? I hope not. No. It's interesting. Right, so we just have to go to map gen. Chunk. No. Where the hell is the there? So if we drop this down to 5, we run this. We're going to add like a little function so that we can make it a fair comparison, I guess. And we're going to turn off the this. Now, annoyingly, I think you're using the wrong. I guess we'll turn off both of them. Right, then we have to add like a new function. It's going to be like fn. I guess we'll call it bench look. So the way that bench look is going to work is we're going to go, yep, mute player, single player, maybe not res time, thank you. Input, which is going to be res button input key code, something like that. And then we're going to go if input dot just pressed key code num. So I'm going to say if you press, I guess 8's going to be straight ahead. So if you press num pad 8, then player dot rotation equals what identity, and then we just need to copy this for like all of the other. So 9. I guess we'll do the Cartesian ones for now. So that would be those 4. So that would be we need 4. I don't know if identity is correct because identity I feel like it's gonna make us point down, but anyway. So if you press 2 and if you press 6, so that's going to be from rotation in the Y, and then this is going to be, so 4 means we're going to turn 1 point, was it 5.7 or something? Wait, what did, okay, 1.57 main. Right, so you're going to be 1.57. You're going to be from rotation Y negative 1.57, and then you would be from rotation Y 3.1415. Right, so pi. Then we're going to go up here, and we're just going to say app.add systems update, and this is going to be bench look. So it's basically what this is going to let us do, if all works how I think it's going to work, is first off, we're turning off the inspector, because I feel like the inspector is a massive, massive lag point because it uses EGUI. But if I press... I press 8. So it is rotating us, but for some reason it's not. Oh, because I bet... If I turn the inspector back on for a second, I bet what's happening is inside, the player is actually inside something. Well, I guess we just track that down. So this is the player entity. And then when we spawn the player entity, input plugin, player plugin, when we say something like spawn player, we spawn the player, and then we spawn their camera. And you're looking at 0 at the Y. So which one? So the player entity, so that's the actual main one. The issue is that we spawn the player looking at the ground. Can we just spawn the player looking Z? I want the player to spawn looking forward. Because that's the annoying thing, is this is the player camera. So we have to like set the player's camera, which is, because I'm pretty sure we rotate the player and then the pitch is done by the camera. So what we do here is we have to like duplicate this, and we have to say player player camera. Now, annoyingly, we have to be like, let... I guess we're going to go something like this. Let none, because I don't... let mute set equals none, and then it's going to be instead set equals sum. I don't want to have to on every single one of them. Oh, how the fuck did it end up over there? That was a weird spot for the keyboard to be. Okay, sure. AI is going to be pretty good at getting this because it's going to just be the same thing. If let sum, right, and then we can say camera dot rotation equals rotation dot identity. Equals what? Identity. So the idea of this is that if we update the player's position, so basically if a key is pressed, we will then reset the camera. And I'm doing it that way because brain, come on, feed me the answer here. I don't have to set the camera in every single position, so it's easier to set an option, and then if the option was set, reset the camera's position. It doesn't like that because I think that's saying that this couldn't run. Because it hadn't spawned the player yet? That's interesting. Oh, these conflict because right, because we need to assert the camera is not the player. Otherwise they conflict. So we just need to... Oh, sorry. That's not going to work. Please stop, please stop, please stop. It also would have taken ages because that was the debug build and not the release, but anyway. So we're just basically saying grab the player camera, grab the player and grab the player's camera, which I need to make sure that they don't conflict because we're accessing both of them mutably. So we just say that with player, without player, so they don't conflict, and then with player camera, so we get the right one. I don't know how I managed to not spawn the menu. It's very slow, very chuggy. Okay, so I do find it interesting that I thought we turned down. Did I not save it maybe? Oh no, so you're still at 6. Anyway, let's just resume. We go 0. No, sorry, 2. So when I press 2, so we go escape, we go debug, we go show FPS, uncap the FPS. if I go 2, look how much, like, that implies that the inspector was hindering us by hundreds of FPS. I believe that, or this is. What's the bet that maybe the inspector's pushing us a little bit higher into the not touchy? So let's drop this down to 5 because apparently that's what's needed to not actually impact anything. Still wish I knew I was using those 2 gigabytes so I could turn it off so that I could actually like just get a little bit better of performance. Anyway, so if we go play, I have to wait for all the chunks generated because it takes like way less time. All right, so we're gonna hit 8. We're gonna debug. It just feels so much smoother as well. Yeah. All right, so because that's all we changed. So we're getting like 200 FPS with the inspector turned off, and EGUI. Maybe EGUI is what was killing our frame rate. That's possible. Like not just the inspector, but actually just the EGUI plugin may have been doing something. So we're going to copy this data into our benchmark thing. I'm going to replace this. Okay. So we should probably note up here that home world equals 22 5 22. This is technically 2 numbers because it's 5 and -1 because it's how low and how high. So which is going to be, so we generated this, which means that when we're looking at 0, I guess this is technically looking at 8 because that's what button you press. So we hit resume. So 8's getting 200 FPS. So we're going to go looking at 4, 2, and 6. Right, well, I guess, well, we should do 6 first because, yeah. So looking at 6, we gave it 230 FPS. That's good to know. So 6 is 230. Next is 2. So 2 is 215. And so 215 and 185. So 215 and 185. Okay, then let's put them in the correct order so that it actually like makes sense. Okay. So that's our FPSs on that version. So we're gonna again, we need to commit these. We might commit these to a different branch so that it's easier to come back and forth with the little modifications I've made. So we're going to go new branch. Yes. Okay. 0.8 PM. Right. So we're just going to add cam placer, I guess. So we're just gonna have a look at what we did. So in terms of that, so outside of, we updated some text, which again, this is irrelevant, but anyway. So we turned off those and we added this. So these are the changes we need to make to the other one. We also made the world ever so slightly smaller, and I doubt that one thing can change much. And we made it look at Z, which I actually, again, that doesn't really matter because I'm pretty sure when we update the camera, it's just going to be right anyway. Right. So now we're going to go and revert ourselves back to the other branch. And we have to, okay, so we have to go back to main, and we're just going to copy main because these are the changes we need to make, I guess. So exit this, go back to Git, go here, go back to master, go here. We're going to paste this down here. We're going to app.add systems update bench look, because bench look will make it so much easier to make it look at the benchmarks. We need to copy the fucking benchmark thing across from the other branch. Anyway, so we just do that. Again, the other things that we changed, so we have to go to like the map, wherever that is. Here, that's already at 5. Okay, so you've already been done correctly. And then the final thing is to turn this and this off so that we can accurately measure the FPS. Now, what else do we need to do? Right, we have to go grab our benchmarks so that they're accurate. They should probably be in the git ignore. Anyway, I'm going to go back to here. Leave my changes. Switch over to here. I just need to copy the benchmark stuff. So just copy that. Then we're going to go back to here. And then we should be able to paste this back in. Benchmark. Paste that back in. So that's correct, that's correct. That's correct. We're just going to copy this, paste this down here so that the format's the same. Then we're going to go, I guess we'll clear this out. Luckily, they're all the same number of digits long. And then we're just going to do that and that. Right, so now when we go to here and we go run, it should kept our changes applied. I think that'll we have to unstash them. We have to unstash them. Okay, so let's go back to here, dash changes, restore. No, we didn't add the right thing and we didn't turn those off. So run that. And again, it shouldn't like matter because we're still looking at the ground, but as soon as we press the corresponding digit, it should set us to the right orientation. Okay. So when I hit 2, we have to wait for it to finish loading. Right, we have to wait for it to finish loading before we hit 2. That's right, I forgot about that. So run that. Wait for it to generate the chunks to get us our first piece of information for the benchmark. Silly, but right. So there is our first piece of information for the benchmark. So we go back to our benchmark. Okay. So here, paste that in. So they're effectively the same now, which is interesting, considering how much faster it was before. Anyway, we go to, no, not settings. We go play, escape, debug menu, uncap the FPS, and then we go 2. We hit escape. Okay, we get 2. That's interesting. So I do not like that. That is very strange. I think that's more to do with me. That's like because I'm still tracking the mouse even when the mouse is dragging the screen. But that is such a weird effect. Yeah, it's definitely me because as you'll notice that that I really want to use that in a game now. That's such a fucking cool effect. Anyway, we're just gonna hit 2 to set our camera position correct. No, that's 2. That's so interesting. Put this over here. 2. Okay, so we are getting 95 4. We are getting 87. What's the bet that we're going over the... No, we're not even... Okay. So 85, 87, 6, 91, and 86. 91, 86. I don't think Bevy likes my new way of doing things. That's interesting. We lost like half our FPS porting over. And I don't actually know why. That's so strange. But, well, anyway, we'll add a little marker. And we're going to go to adding my optimization that I wanted to try. So that's in like somewhere we generate the chunk, I think. Somewhere. Chunk. Right, so we make the like image, two image. I wonder if there's a way we can make the image, because what are we doing for the texture? Is we're using RGBA 8 uint. So there's only that. Can you do R? I'm so curious if we can do this. I don't think we can, but if we go to the shader and somewhere we bind like a, because it's a texture storage thing and da 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 da. Because we were using RGBA, I don't think we ever pull anything out of it. I also hate that it's just filled with fucking errors. It does not like that because expected 4 got 1, expected 4. Who is saying that's me, isn't it? Yeah, okay. But that was me saying that. That's my code, not Bevy's code. I don't think we ever used the dummy image, but we might. If we ever use the dummy image, we'll just leave the dummy image, because the dummy image doesn't... It did not like that. That's interesting. Where okay, so it's creating like a bind group somewhere. That's in the custom material or something. It's like rendering, vertex shader. So texture 2-dimensional sampler, no texture 3-dimensional. What if we just said R? I keep forgetting there's like 6 million places that like you have to tell it. So we didn't like that. Okay, so something's still giving it RGB. Okay, so but that, I bet that's the dummy image. So we go to chunk, and we go dummy image. And we say you are RGB, R, I'm sorry, and then you, I don't think you even check. No, you just leave the data as data. You just leave it completely empty. And your storage binding. Something's still expecting RGBA. Is it you? There are just so many places that I fucking use this. Huh. Okay. So that worked, except now it's rendering absolutely nothing, but I think that's because the shader is failing to work. So if def vertex UVs A at location 2, I think you're... It's supposed to be like hash if def hash end. Yeah. No, it keeps just wanting to put them on the same line. Expected identifier. Yeah, so I think this is my auto formatting fucking me up. So I need you to not. Yeah, I really need you to fucking not. Help. No. It's like F6 maybe. Control 6. No. Search here. On save. VS Code. I need you to not. Control plus. That's not at all working. Alright. So why does it think that that's its own fucking thing? This doesn't like it because it keeps finding it and saying unexpected identifier hashtag because it's the macro preprocessor isn't fucking finding it. Shift Alt F. Nope. Okay. File preference. Oh, don't autosave. Preferences settings. We're looking for format on save. Turn that off. Hey. Yes. That's really annoying that because of that fucking formatting, it's done this to me. Okay, so it's saying something about too many end if lines, right? So you start, if, end if. Okay, first off, is this the same file? It is, because it's only reloading this one. Too many end if lines. Excuse me? What does this one look like? You start. Do you have a vertex output? I don't think it does. They all look paired to me. There's 15 and 15, so it's lying to me when it says... I'm assuming it can't find one. Each end if should be predicated by an if statement. Okay, wait. That's what's going on. It's if def this, then do that. I'm gonna move them on their own line because they annoy me. That's what's going on. All right, now we're somewhere else in this thing, and it's telling me, you can't do that because I think you're supposed to be like this. Okay. Do you happen to have a directional line? Question. Did I happen to save this after so that we can say discard changes? Because fuck you. So then we just need to change like one thing because only one thing got fucking clobbered by the... Everything got fucking clobbered by the override. Oh, it crashed. That's fun. Oh, I bet it crashed because the fucking thing changed back. Okay. And that is why you use Git. Yay. Okay. Okay, settings. Okay, first of all, check here. God, it's using so much less memory. Yes! We can make the map way bigger again for no fucking reason. Anyway. Uncap the FPS. And then just be like, 0.2 please. So it didn't actually give us any extra FPS, but it has given us way more headroom in terms of how much memory we can cram in there, which is lovely. Anyway. So this is material bind group. Somehow we have to get the camera's position, which I don't remember if we have. So we have the mesh bindings, mesh material. So I don't think it's the mesh bindings. There's definitely a way to get the camera. I just don't remember how. Get world from local. These are the light stuff. So am I in the right one? I'm in the right one. Because this is the one that if I break it doesn't work. Directional lights, apply lights, add light, directional light. My question is, do you have a vertex shader? I don't think you do. This one has a vertex shader, doesn't it? Interesting. Okay. So if we go back to where were we? It's like a rendering or something. Yeah. Ah, okay. So this is our vertex shader. We should probably make it way less complicated, but anyway. Check. We're doing some funky stuff. I also, again, don't know what's happening with the lighting. Do you happen to bring in the camera position? So with material bind group, no. So there's definitely a way. I don't remember how. There's the mesh bindings, mesh functions, skinning for some reason, morphs, forward IO, vertex output. Somewhere we have like the camera. I'm assuming it's in like mesh normal thing. Resolve position. Vertex no more dot position. Resolve position. Where is resolve position and what the fuck does it do? That's my question. Is the position of the position? Right. So that's the position of the chunk. We need the position of the camera, I think. I'm not entirely sure how we get the position of the camera, but it's definitely somewhere. Get world from local. I'm assuming it's there, so I'm just going to go to the Bevy's GitHub. The very long and roundabout way. So we don't want to be in examples. We want to be in something like crates, PBR maybe. Skirt. SSAO. No, it's probably in rendering. Oh, okay, if I just search for so search, we want mesh underscore funk mesh functions, right? PBR skr rendering WESL. That should work fine. One of these is like importing. So world from local, now find mesh index world from local. Camera direction. Length, LOD, world position.xyz. So offset. Where are you getting? Mesh, PBR. Applied, so there's PBR types, apply distance, PBR input from standard material, apply decals. No. So I'm looking for one of these is going to be like fucking camera or something. Mesh morphs forward IO position to world clip. Surely position to world clip needs the camera. Well, there's 8 instances of the word camera on this one. No, there's not. There's 2. View translations. Oh, it's probably in view. Is there one called view? View translations. View bindings. Where did you pull view bindings from? No? Okay. So render. No. Okay, so we have to search for one called view bindings. Mesh view bindings. That seems promising. View. Okay, group 0, binding 0, var uniform view. Okay. So you don't like that because you can't identify view, which is to go, we have to go Bevy render. Okay, capital V view. We're looking for WESL. Can we just put this at the bottom so it's out of the way, but I can still access it? Clip from world. These are all just transforms, which annoys me. World position. Okay. Well positioned, well positioned. So now we have a view, and when I hate it so much. It's just a fucking, it's a never-ending fucking thing of importing. Color grading. You good? Rendering? Lovely. Right, it's importing this, and it seems to be importing it correctly, which means can we do something like, in our vertex here, we're doing something. Right at the end, before we return out, can we be like, if view dot, because I think I called it view, didn't I? Yeah. If view dot world position where to go? This is a horrendous piece of code. Dot y is greater than 0. Then out dot world underscore out dot what are we even outputting? Vertex output. And where the fuck is our vertex output? We're importing vertex output. God damn it. How do we set its position? What do I actually do to the fucking out.worldNormal.x? It's taking it on the fucking normals. Pos.z is z equals 0. So we do something with pos.z. This is setting the position somewhere. Out.position equals... So this should make everything invisible because it should move everything to behind. Did it just not work? Well, it seems to be rendering an infinite blackness, and if I do this, does it turn off the infinite blackness? No, it's the shade is broken. Bindings from 3 conflict with other. If I never use it, does it go away? Okay, so that works. It's just if I touch the view. Well, that's annoying. Now, is that got an issue because of like this? Or is it that you can't use the... Something's using the view at some point. What was using the view? I don't remember how I tracked this down. Why can I not use it here? Okay, so we have to use, I guess, this one, because I'm assuming it's because I'm double binding it somehow. So if I go back enough times, I'll end up wherever the fuck I found this. So this imports Bevy render view. Which is even higher up than something like that. I guess we can just say so if I do that, can we get rid of this then? Well, I don't think we can get rid of that. I think we still need to bind that like down here. That's the annoying thing. So where is this being? So you bind to, I think I have to attach to your binding of it, but maybe not. I don't know. I can't imagine why I can't just bind to the same bind, but my instinct tells me that if I don't import Do you export something? Where was I before this? View transform. And then how do you use them? All right, so you do that, and then down here, so if we can rerun this so that we can actually like see what's working. So apparently, still infinite void, which is a little bit annoying. Now, my confusion here is why is this compiling? Something about unexpected token. Is it just because nothing's using it? Out.wall position. So you are allowed to do this now? No? You just don't work at all? Possibly? Can I not import this? See, it's not throwing an error, which is concerning. Can we just like not do that? Run this? Okay, so you work, and let's say I import this. In which case you no longer work. Which is very strange. Oh, I bet it's because now you work. Because the one I'm copying from is an ESL and this is a GSL, which doesn't have the same macro support. Right, so now we can do that, which brings all this stuff in. Right. Also getting towards the end of the stream, I think. Maybe not. What's the time? I got my static clock. No, I gotta use. So you don't like that because this, but then we can say view bindings view. Okay. So if I turn this off entirely, can I just say view? So that works. Are you okay? So you're rendering again. So if I said if view dot world position dot y is greater than 0, no, you immediately stop working again. Why though? First off, can I just like rename this to rename to WESL? We would have to stop this, go to our shader, go to our vertex path and say WESL so that it actually finds it. I wonder if just changing the file format will fix it. Probably not, but Hey, error, failed to load asset WESL asset. Panicked. Oh, because I'm on. Okay, so let's change this back to the probably 019, I guess. Hey, this page just doesn't even exist. That's fine. No, we go to 019, and we want to go. Maybe it's just be something different. View bindings. Okay. So there's view types. So it is still to 0, 0. I just want to go like wherever the hell this is. So there's PBR rendering. So mesh view types. View. It's possible that the view is just a completely different type. Capital V view. annoying. It doesn't have case sensitive. Where the hell is it? Fog lights, directional lights. What? Mesh view bindings. View. Oh no, it's Bevy render view. Bevy render. Right, Bevy crates. Not the PBR, we want to go to the render crate. Bevy render view.gsl. And then we want to go like copy and then like overwrite these. I don't know if they're going to be any different. My assumption is that they're exactly the same, but it's possible that, you know, when they're converting to GSL, they change something. So we have to go back to annoyingly renamed GSL. I don't think anything changed. We go back to our shader and we also change it back to a GSL. Okay, so it still doesn't like this, but weirdly, it's not crashing, which confuses me. Like that is the thing that confuses me the most, is that it's not crashing. We have to be like at group 0 at binding 0 uniform view. It doesn't seem to have a problem with this. Can we not import this view? Right. So it's saying it's got an issue with conflicting with other resources. Conflicts with other resources. So you don't like that for some reason. My assumption is that I can't bind to the same bind group. Then can we get rid of this? So you're allowed to come in, but as long as you don't touch view. Right. There's a Bevy render. How about no? Because the view is where it came from, which is fine. It's got us well positioned. So we go back. We go back. So this is PBR rendering. So we want the mesh view bindings. Define import path. Bevy PBR. Yeah, we get rid of this one, because apparently as long as we don't use it, it doesn't care, which is interesting way of going about it, shaders. But anyway, if I turn this back on, did I import the view? Well, it's compiling, and it's not crashing. Can I then say, well, apparently I double commented that one out, which is a bit strange. Anyway. Ooh, you don't like that. But, okay, so that means it's working, because if I'm below 0, right, if the y is greater than 0, we hide everything. What if we instead said position divide equals 2? Apparently that doesn't do shit. Out.position plus equals vec. So I'm assuming positions are vec4. I'm not entirely sure. Let's go back. Okay, so that is how you would hide all of them. We're going to duplicate that down, and we're going to say plus equals 0 0.25. So that should mean that me crossing... No? Okay. Apparently it just doesn't do shit. So they disappear if I do that. I'm assuming they're somewhere. Okay. It confuses me that nothing changes, but if I set it to... I guess it's because if I set it to something, they all end up on top of each other, but if I don't set it to something, they all just end up... What if I said if your position is greater than 0, can I set your view dot world position dot y? Right. So that would imply that something's happening. Presumably they're clipping more, but I don't actually know. If I turn this off, do they stop clipping? I'm going to say that they did stop clipping. I'm not entirely sure if they actually did. They do look like they're not clipping. So like, look here, like that you can't see the edge. But if we turn this back on, oops, no, maybe not. Yeah. It's a little bit strange. Oh god. Because my assumption is that because I move everything, it does nothing. That, or inside of here, we're doing something we're not supposed to. Oh wait, it wouldn't. I don't think it would actually matter because when we resolve your position and sample your thing, it's like everything would move by the same amount, I think. Anyway. Okay, so if we go back into the vertex maybe and be like, so inside the vertex, so this extracts like some LOD information. So I guess okay. So I guess we're going to save this and we're going to say, oh, God. Got access to view in shader. So we can do things based on where the camera is positioned. So the next thing to do, I guess, is to go into our like chunk generation and go, the image is actually the image, and that's what we want to actually give it, the generate set blocks. So there's somewhere like called like bake mesh or something. Make baked mesh. So this inserts 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now, I think somewhere we use that, but anyway, so see how we're sticking in 8 vertices and then 8 copies of that. So if we just said that you only get to stick in the negatives and we don't stick in the second set, that should, because I'm pretty sure be. Why are they up for 1? Interesting. That is interesting. I do feel like maybe it's like just saying if they're above the player, they should be added 1, because they become the bottom face. We'll have to work on that. But anyway, I'm going to do this. I guess we'll just... okay, we'll start with just Y. So leave everything else the same. We're just going to do Y. Go down to Y. And we go, okay. So there is no bottom Y. And then get rid of the bottom Y. From the normalize or 0 to array. I'm not entirely sure why we're doing this. It seems very slow. But I guess technically we're going to do this once. So then we would say for Y in 0 chunk set offset is offset plus Y times 8. Indices extend. So 0, 1, 2, 0, 2, 3. And then don't include those. So now there should only be one set of triangles on the Y. So when we restart this, it means that any chunk that we are lower than won't view. Okay, apparently it's any chunk we are higher than. Okay, so if I go below, so the bottoms are rendering. We don't apparently do overhangs, but I guess this is probably the better way of doing it. That does make my chunks feel like way smaller than they actually are. I also wonder if I'm doing this right, because that definitely feels like there's way more faces per voxel than they're actually supposed to be, but maybe that's just because... no, I think that's just map generation weirdness. Okay, it's just that like they look like they're way smaller because for some reason they're always spawning like twice the height. Maybe maybe not, I don't know. It feels wrong, but I can't explain why. I think it's just that over here for some reason it's always stepping by like 2. Anyway, so what we need to do now is go, okay, so if we go underneath we can see them, but if we're on top we can't see them. So what we need to do is inside of the vertex thing here. So if x, so this tells us which plane this belongs to, which is basically just saying out.worldNormal.x does not equal 0. Position.x is less than min.x or position. Okay. Lovely. Out.world position is mesh fragment world from local var world position 1. Yeah. So what are you doing? Recip chunk size times 2 minus 1. So if position y equals 0, vertex.position y equals the f min y reciprocal. Okay. So this is rescaling each chunk. So we probably want to come down here just to make it a little bit like cleaner and be like fn so we pass in position. So what is this? This is scale to used volume. But I don't know what this takes. It's going to return apparently a position, which I guess is a vec3. I'm not entirely sure. I want to say this returns a vec3 because vertex.position.x, y, and z. Right. No, I think everything in here needs to be that way. So we're just going to cut all of this. Go down to our scale volume thing. Paste it here and go, you're going to complain about so somewhere we set out. God, why is it not even letting me scroll? What the fuck is going on? I don't know how to reference. WGSL path. I don't think they ever set it, so maybe we can just say world position. And then this would, instead of being out, would just be world position, because I don't think passing it by a reference would be the best. Oh, no, sorry. World normal. If pos, okay, and then, so you take in pos. I don't think you update pos. You update some kind of vertex dot position. So we're going to say pos, which is a vec3, vec3u. So can we use a vec3f? And out, which is going to be like a sort of ref. PTR. Expected an identifier. No. Pointer. Hmm. Oh, what the AI saying on the internet? Their function. Expected variable access. I think this should work. Okay, again, getting really annoyed that my fucking scrolls doesn't work. So that's all working, I think. Scale to user volume is invalid. I don't know what. Within the function. Okay, so is that what you're saying? Not entirely sure. So then you come up here and you say something like else. Is it called scale? Scale to used volume, which takes in position out dot world normal. I guess yeah, it's out dot world normal. And vertex dot position. This doesn't return anything. Oh right, you don't return anything. Is it just going to work the second time around? No, it's saying something is not cached. Expression. Some massive expression number is not cached. So, fuck it. Just pass in vec3 f32 and just return a vec3. Right. And then you just do this, and then you just return position. It's a little bit less efficient, but also I cannot be fucked. So that should fix that, because now it's not doing that. Now it doesn't like something. Do I have to call it like var? No. How do I make it mutable? Oh. No. Is that how you do it? No. It says he used a mute keyword, but what the fuck? What? Var expression. Okay. So var private. Var work group. No. Um, just gonna call it start, and then that should work. That's annoying that I have to do it that way, but anyway. I shifted it. Shift control. Right. So what we need to do next is this scales to the volume. So if we just turn this off, it shouldn't change anything, because all that's doing is taking in some extra information that we give it, and it's shrinking down the number of things it tries to do. Which I'm actually curious. If we just like, we gotta uncap the FPS. So that's at 101 FPS. If I was to say turn this back on, so what this does is it just shrinks. So we get a few extra FPS. It shrinks the size of the chunk down. So the idea is if you have like one block in a chunk, I don't think it'll make it 2 by 2 by 2 instead of 64 by 64 by 64 or whatever chunk size I'm currently doing. I don't remember. But anyway. So we can get like the world position, I believe. So we can out dot world underscore position equals. Okay, wait. If out dot world position, because this is the vertex's position, I don't know how we mesh position local to world vertex dot position. Right, so we have to do this first, which is annoying. Okay. How did you get mesh position to? Where's wood from local? Hmm. So I think this is the meshes world. So what we can do here, I guess, to test this. So we go back to here and we say, if world from local dot y is greater than view dot y dot world position dot y what even is this type then? Is that like a vec4 or something? What the fuck is this type? Why does it not have a y? Somewhere it's declared. Come on. I'm looking at the GitHub just to see what the signature is. It's a matrix. No, you suck. I don't want to have to calculate the fucking world position twice. This tells me that I'm going to have to do this. And then I'm going to have to do this. Because in this one, I want to calculate it after. In this one, I want to calculate before. Anyway. Out dot world position equals this. So now, this is the position. And we're going to say out dot world position dot y. So if this thing's y is greater than view dot mesh division y, then it's going to disappear. Which apparently just makes everything black. If it's less than, okay. Can we not do this then? Wait a second. I don't think we want to return out. That might be what the problem is. Don't return out. Right. And now if you set it to here. Oh, we probably overwrite that at some point. That's fine. Yeah, we overwrite it like right there. That's fine. That's fine. There we go. Okay. So basically we're only rendering things that are higher than the player. So we also have to say, I guess technically, it's if y. How do we calculate? It's like, so if vertex dot normal dot y does not equal 0. Hey, look, so we can see all the way down, but if I don't think that's going to work. No, because it doesn't care. So I guess it's the other way. It's I guess they're always below us. Well, we definitely only want to do this on the Ys, but I'm just going to comment that out for now and say this should mean that it only renders things that are below us. Right, so all the mountains are clipped off because they're considered higher than us. The annoying thing is it doesn't seem to be taking into account the, like at an individual voxel level, but I guess that actually makes sense because it would be a whole chunk. It also seems to be out by like a lot. That's fine. Right, because they go all the way to the top. If I was still doing my my clipping. Yeah, okay. That's fine. So if we theoretically, this is everything that is below us. Right, the X and the Y are the only actual fucking planes that would... Okay. So that's clip everything that's below us. This is clip everything that... This means that this next section only applies to things that are Y, which we'd actually want to go the other way. But for now, I was going to put a little to-do. To-do invert. All right, so we're going to say if it's not a Y, now it's only the Ys that we're hiding, which means the other shit doesn't disappear. So we don't want to flip the position. I think we have access to the vertex as like its index. And there should be 4 vertices per plane per face. So what that means, we have to track this down. Right? Yeah. We're rendering, like forward IO. Let's swap this back to 0.19 so I don't get fucked up by it being slightly different. Okay, so vertex. So vertex has a position, a normal, a UV, a tangent, a color, joint, and index. Okay. No, wait, instance index. Now, my hope is that the instance index is saying brain, I want to switch back on. The instance index, from if I'm correct, means that like that should be like the index of this vertex inside of this chunk. So if we go here and we say if your Y is not equal to 0, it means you are a Y. Then we say let ID equal vertex dot, what is it called, instance index modulo 4. Right, so this gives us our ID. We're going to say if ID equals 0. I don't know. I need some kind of way of like outputting the triangles. See, the easiest trick, I guess, and it's probably the smart thing to do because it's going to be less obvious that it's working, is we should flip it so we can fucking see them. Because then when I'm messing with things, where is it? Chunk, magenta chunk. We're going to say that these apparently wind the other direction, which I guess means it's these ones. So we're just going to quickly reload this. This should mean that we can actually see them. -1 plus step 0. Okay, those are definitely the bottom faces, and they're short. Therefore, we're round the right way, which means it's actually this one. It's going to flip these, flip that, reset. So this should mean we should be able to see the tops, but when we go underneath, we shouldn't be able to see them above us. And then we're going to flip. What does this bill say? Oh. Not entirely sure why that's not working on every chunk. It's very strange. Okay, so for one thing, this should be the other way around as well. Let's put these. So the step is 0.0316, which I don't actually know where that comes from. I think that's just 1 divided, no, it's 2 divided by the chunk size. So I'm, again, not entirely clear why it's working on some layers, but not every layer. Am I doing something with the modulo that I forgot about? Oh yeah, we're hiding you if you modulate a 1. That could be doing something. It's not, but I do feel like there's more of them, but so we take the world's position. Right, don't return out. Okay, so very unclear to me why some of them don't have tops. But we're just going to roll with it. So the question is, if I go down, now look up. Can we also just say, else if, that's all the Y's, we're going to say else if, So if your world's position Y, you're already here. Right, so this is, yeah, this is that your Y position is higher than mine. How do we vanish you? We just sit out. We go out and then we return. Something like that. That means as soon as I go inside, we only render the tops. Again, unclear why exactly it's only rendering every like other layer. But we're just gonna call that okay. Yeah, right. So if I do this, right, I can't actually really check that, can I? Because they're above me now. What if I... can we just actually... Oh, hey, if we hit this, can we just like not render anything else? Did something crash? No, it's not compiling, but... Alright, so let's just save that. That should mean that we don't render anything but the tops. Okay, lovely. Else. Right. Now, if your y is below my y, if out view.well position. Is it this? Is this where the error is coming from? No. It's got to be the if statement then. My curiosity is maybe I got one too many braces. There we go. So that should mean that this is any one that's lower than me. And then this should mean that if you're lower than me, you disappear. Now it's like a weird way of disappearing. It's like very inconsistently disappearing. If out.well position is less than my y position, that instance index modulo 4 id equals 0 gets set to invisible. But if I go below, well, they will just disappear now. I guess that makes sense because if I'm lower than them. Wait, no. Okay. It makes me feel like maybe the view's a little bit too low. Something's going on. Anyway, randomly disappearing one isn't the actual goal here. It's to work out what exactly the opposite would be. Because we effectively just need to wind them the other direction. So where's that chunk? So chunk generation. So when I generate the mesh down here, this should be index 0. I think hiding them is causing some kind of weird issue. So your bottom left corner is -1, -1. Your y is just b. So we want to swap -1, -1. And then your 1, go back to our, like, if it like paint. Why is it just long and narrow? Anyway, so we have we have 1 point, 1 point, 1 point, 1 point. So the point 0 is -1, -1. So that makes this 1, 1. This would be -1, 1. This is negative. This is 1, -1. Right. So -1, -1, and you were 1, 1. Well, I guess that's one way of knowing that you're in the right corner, is we don't actually care about the index. We just want to flip. If we're y, and your x and y is equal to... Where the fuck's my code? It's up here. So we don't actually care about the index then. We want to say if vertex dot position dot x equals 0 by -1 and vertex dot position z equals -1. Right, because that should mean that apparently that's everything. No, You just don't seem to render anything anymore. I guess we restart because I've broken something. Right. So everything's rendering normally now. So if you're lower than me, and you're one of these corners, so apparently that's everything. Okay, that I would expect to hide everything. Yes. Okay, first off, you are compiling, yes? This is still rendering. So if vertex, when do we set vertex dot position? Nowhere, right? Correct. Something tells me if any of the triangles touch 0, 0, then the whole thing stops rendering. Okay. Vertex dot x3f 1. Just set those specific points then. Dot x equals 1 and z equals 1. Okay. Do I ever like update the position? Like, oh wait, this is where we use the vertex dot position. So that would make sense, kind of. Well, it doesn't really make sense in that, like, so we have to redo this, I guess. Okay, so that broke something. Do we only redo it if we're in here? No, that also broke something. So don't redo that? Right. I'm unclear. So we did update the out.world position. So maybe we just need to say that if you are that, then we just need to say out.world position. Dot z. It's not 1, but if we times equals 1. My issue is I think this is every single fucking triangle. It's every triangle or it's no triangle. Okay, no, it's not every triangle. No, it's not every vertex. It is only specific vertexes. Oh, also it's times equals -1. Because, you know. No, okay, so that's definitely not right. What if when we get to here, we say world.out position. So we need a vector, which is going to be 1, comma, because it's x0, 1, comma, 1.0, comma, vertex dot position y, comma, 1.0. Don't do that. So this breaks everything for some reason. I don't know why. So it works here. Now, it could be breaking everything because we're not doing the other triangle, which results in so then you do the same thing, except that you pass in -1, -1. So this now goes, okay, so that could be part of the problem. So we've flipped all the triangles upside down. Is it doing what I think it's doing? Which is rendering the top triangle and now the bottom triangle, depending on the height that we are at. Because if I disable this piece of code, the top of that mountain should disappear, because anything above me is rendering the top face, but we can't see it. But then when we turn this on, anything below me is rendering the top face, anything above me is rendering the bottom face. So now when we turn the rest of the triangles on, these ones I expect to be slightly wrong, right? Because they should be... I think it's rendering one layer too low, which I think is what's happening here, is that this is actually rendering because it's actually this one that's rendering. So like 0, 0, 3. Well, we just +1. That should make it render, well, a lot higher. Or is it rendering lower? It could be rendering lower. Well, actually, that's the annoying thing. Actually, it's only these ones. Right, so we turn this back off. Right, it's only when they're getting flipped. I guess that's the question, isn't it? So if I do this, because one of them's going to be off by 1. And it's which is off by 1. So we just said if so it's like if the vertex dot normal dot x. So that should hide all the x's, but not all of the z's. Why do we care about hiding all the x's, but not all of the z's? Is if we come down here, Alright, no, it's if your x does not equal 0. There. So now we're rendering the y's. And as you can see, the y's are actually rendering at the right spot on the way up, maybe? Maybe not. I don't know. This is wrong. God, it's the fucking lighting. So that's the issue. That one doesn't have one. I'm not sure what's supposed to be on this side. So they shouldn't be rendering one because there's no block there, which means that we actually need to say minus 1 divided by... What the chunk size? I think that's... No. Is it complaining that we don't have a chunk size? No, we have a chunk size. Yeah, 1 divided by chunk size is reciprocal of chunk size. Right, so now they're actually rendering the bottom of the block. And you should never actually know that they're doing that, because if we said something like if normal.x does not equal, so like equals 2. So nothing should have a normal of 2, which means that we should be hiding everything, not hiding anything. As you can see, you can't tell. Now, you can tell it's missing from the top, but from the bottom, you shouldn't be able to tell that it's been moved down because it should be impossible to see any of the ones that have been moved down. I'm still unsure why every other Z height is missing one. That seems to be a bug somewhere else, but effectively what we're doing is saying if if vertex normal y does not equal 0, so only apply this to y, if you're lower than me, oh, there's my end of stream alarm, then it says if out dot position y is higher than me. So if your position is higher than the camera's current position, and you're the one of the, and you're either -1, or 1, 1, then we need to flip you and also offset you up, or I guess technically down by 1. Interesting. I still don't know why the wires are broken. Something's not right there, but anyway. The fact that it's every other layer exactly makes me think that I'm maybe just missing, like maybe there's a mismatch in the number of, so chunk size is 64. And if we go to our like generate chunk size is 64. So you start at -1, you add step, and step is just chunks, is 2 divided by chunk size. Well, that's interesting. Maybe that's what we need to do, is do the reciprocal as 2 divided by? I don't know. Possibly. Possibly. Anyway, where do I use this? But lots of places apparently. Well, moving you down by 1/64th actually is what's supposed to happen. But then, like, this one's just missing a 1/64th. What if I do change this to 2? I don't think anything changed. The Z and X don't seem to be wrong, which makes me think that, like, no. Anyway, that's it. End of stream alarm went off, so I have to go get ready for other shit. This also never samples the texture, which means it doesn't crash, or did I? No, I reverted back. Okay, that's fine. Wait a second, what if that's why? No, you're an R. What the fuck? Where was my brain reading it? Okay, never mind. There's somewhere where it's different for Y versus everything else. If chunk is solid, only render faces that are edges of the chunk. Yeah, so this feels like it should be fairly expandable. Like, for example, if I just did this and I said x is not equal 0 if your x is less than x. So it would be y, x, x. Apparently we're leaving both of these, so these both live at 1. Except that you would be -1. I don't think this should have done anything, because again, we're rendering both sides. But if I then come back to my chunk and say, I gotta stop like going like the end of the stream and then spending fucking ages testing something else. The top of everything, the negative side. X. Let's get rid of the negative, 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 negative. Wait a second. That doesn't even compute. Why would you be offset plus 4? You would just be offset. That does mean that the spiral is wrong. Anyway. It would be rendering the entirely wrong triangle, but anyway. Let's get rid of the negatives. Get rid of the negatives. Get rid of the top. It shouldn't matter because this just changes the order of operation. And then worst case, we just have to flip the thing. So you do that. Um. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So top, bottom, top, top, bottom, bottom, top. Okay. Hmm. Okay. I'm assuming this is going to break the thing because these are, from what I remember, counter rotated. So 0, 2 instead of 0, 1, 2. Okay. So we go to the shader and we go turn off the X entirely. Right. That's how it actually should be. Is that there is no Z, there is no X, there is no Y. Now, the Y is causing issues in that I think it's just wound the wrong way. You want to go the opposite. So we're going to render the Y unless we're below you and then you're in it up. Yes. That, to me, appears like the Y is working again, which means that when we turn the X back on, it does exactly the same thing, except that we need to flip this on. That's probably the Z. Mm-hmm. Interesting. It probably needs to be plus, maybe? That or I've got the wrong thing. I bet I've got the wrong. Okay. We need to use the correct sets. God damn it. I'm so bad at actually ending the fucking stream on time. Don't mind me. Don't mind me. But we should be able to, because I think the only difference between these is whether they're plus or minus. So top, top. Top, right? So the tops mean that they should all be correct now. Like the by default, if I don't modify them, they are the correct spiral and the correct orientation. And now, since step plus 1, we would add 1 when we invert them. So we add 1 step when we invert them. So if we go into the shader and we disable re-enabling X and re-enabling Y, we should have basically one direction that's like completely invisible. So we can see them if they're higher than us, which means if they're lower than us, if you are lower than us, apparently not. But yeah, no, if your position, if you are lower than us, then invert your spiral. I don't know what I've done here. Right, so they're at the wrong spot, which means that it's minus. No. They're at the wrong spot. But below is the correct rendered one? Below is the correctly rendered one. Below is the unmodified. Okay, so we do need to fucking flip the order. Chunk. That's not going to work. This isn't even the right thing. No, it is white. Hmm. So I can see the ones that are higher than me, but I can't see the ones that are lower than me. So when I turn this on, so when I'm underneath, I shouldn't be able to see the top of you. Right. The issue is I need one that's like a little bit more tall. Honestly, I don't know what I'm doing anymore. Trying to invert something. All right. I give up for tonight, but as I said, the stream needs to end. I need to go get ready. Thank you for tuning in, and I will hopefully not be so dead tired tomorrow from doing dumb shit all tonight that I'll be able to continue streaming tomorrow. If not, Sunday, I hope. Then I'm going to get sick again and fucking throw my whole streaming schedule out the window again. But anyway, thank